So let me ask all my panelists the first 30-second, mainly a summary, uh, so that, and then we can expand on the next set of questions that we do have. How can bio-based solutions be integrated into traditional energy systems and also in the chemical industries? To start with, Dr. Sangeeta Srivastava.
So, thank you, Praveen. This is a very important session, but I think our job is easier now because a lot of it is already said. And bio-based solution basically bring in the sustainability and circularity in totality. So I will definitely go by Praveen's 30-second and say it's very important to integrate bio-based solution into circularity and to integration. Yeah.
Over to Mr. Prasad Gawate.
Hello. Yeah. Yeah, the swing question. Yeah.
30 seconds of your time for.
Sorry?
30 seconds of your time.
Thank you so much for that. Basically, the bio-based, the chemicals and its markets is nowadays are increasing, and ethanol-based chemicals, and they have a huge potential like aldehydes. If it goes to the glycols, so it comes. It's a synergy of I would say. The biochemicals, then the what we can say, the aldehydes, glycols. So it creates the along with the sustainability goals. So yeah, and that's it.
Dr. Preeti Jain.
Yeah. So thanks for the opportunity to speak. I bring a very different perspective when it comes to bioeconomy. We are a leading, player globally when it comes to bioeconomy and bioeconomy solutions. Generally, bioeconomy is being looked from a feedstock point of view, bio-based feedstock, right? What we stand out as LanzaTech is not just bio-based feedstocks, but bio-based solutions also, where processes like fermentation or gas fermentation, where we are playing, or synthetic biology can also play a very important role. And as a company, LanzaTech, we are playing a very important role in that space. So I would stop there for 30 seconds.
Prabhunath Gupta.
Yeah, good evening. Prashant and NextGen Summit, at the outset, thank you for giving us an opportunity and inviting GPS Renewables to this forum. So before getting into the question, those who are not aware about GPS Renewables, we are a full stack biofuel firms. We provide concept to commissioning services in the biofuel sector. When I say concept to commissioning, it talks about the technology, the process license, plus the EPC, plus the O&M. We also do project development and incubation in the CBG space, that is compressed biogas, 2G ethanol, and bamboo-based biofuel products. So this has been our company. Coming to the bio-based solutions, I feel there are multiple avenues where bio-based solutions can be put into use in the current decarbonized targets. Starting with compressed biogas, wherein we can blend with natural gas easily. We can use as bio-CNG for the transportation purposes into the fuels. We can use in the industrial sector. And if you look at the bioethanol, it is easily blendable with petrol. Currently, we are blending it 10%. We have a tall target of getting into 20% blending. And we have biodiesel, which can be easily blended with the fossil fuel diesel. So these are the broad-based, bio-based solutions can be merged with the technology.
Thank you, Mr. Prabhunath. Now I come to the second part where we are talking about environment and economic benefits of this increased uses of bioenergy, whether it is ethanol or biofuels or bio-based chemicals. And I would request Sangeeta ma'am and Prasad Gawate ji to talk about it. First, Dr. Sangeeta.
So to come back to your question about the importance and how does it bring into the, what are the factors? So basically bio-based, as we heard since morning about various aspects of the industry where sustainability, chemical and distribution all around. But then when we also know about that as India, we have been we are top 10 kind of greenhouse emission countries. So we're emitting a lot of greenhouse, and chemical industry is one of the major contributor of greenhouse. Now, what do we bring in as an industry to reduce this greenhouse emission is, can we use different feedstocks? Maybe it is bio-based. I'm just not promoting only because Praveen has asked, but yes, this is one of the options because this could be one step to reduce greenhouse emission. Can I use biomass as my energy source? So I think all of us have faced during last few years that coal was not available. Like if we had integrated biomass, maybe pelletization and other things, we could have used biomass as a fuel. So use of biomass as fuel for even power and steam is one of the kind of sustainable solution. And other one is use of maybe ethanol. My fellow panelists already spoke about that ethanol can be used for developing various chemistries. We as company at Godavari, we almost produce 25 or 30 chemicals out of ethanol. So since the inception of the company, we've been doing biochemicals. Now we say that green is coming in and we have to certify by Beta Analytics or somebody that my carbon is green, but we have been doing this since the starting of our company. So these are the factors which I would like to highlight. That's it.
Prasad, your views?
Yeah. So I completely agree with Sangeeta ma'am. So firstly, I would like to introduce about our company, that how we are, how the environmental and economical benefits we are providing to the society. We are into the completely manufacturing of ethanol and its based chemicals. So the important thing, due to increase of the bioenergy, biochemicals, bioethanol, biomethane, it has lowered the, because of this, the greenhouse gases has, the greenhouse emission has lowered as compared to the fossil fuel. From last couple of years, what we have seen, the most important economical benefits that we have provided to the society, that is rural development. We have created the employment generation that is goes around, I would say, 200, more than 200 people are engaging with us. If we calculate, like more than, I would say, 600, 700 families are depends on us, our group. So it's a major economical benefit that we are providing as a company perspective. The secondly, I would say, overall, however, the bioenergy can create the sustainable goals and transiting to the lower carbon energy. So these are the economical and the environmental factor from our side. Yeah, thank you.
So I wanted to add a supplementary to that, is what are the new areas of innovation that you are doing, both in bio-based solutions for energy and new chemical transition?
Yeah. So recently, recently we have been discussing with the Pentron Scientech. It's one of the largest technology provider for ethanol-based chemicals and the sustainable chemicals. And the Petron and the Praj, there are a lot of, if you goes to the, we have a one setup company in Amsterdam also. So there is a one company called, they are the technology provider for glycols, aldehydes. So currently, through our R&D department, we are focusing on the glycols and the aldehydes products, which can be created through the, which can be manufactured through the sustainable goals. So that those are the innovations are going within the company.
Madam, you have been heading R&D for a long time in Godavari. So when you go for bio-based solutions vis-a-vis, say, petroleum-based, so how cost-effective are they? Are they at par or below or on a higher side?
So if we talk about the current situation where ethanol blending program, which has kind of increased the price of ethanol in the country, we are fighting basically for the chemicals because you get better price when you sell it to OMCs, the ethanol. But overall, what we see is there is a trend. People are looking for bio-based products. Maybe they're expensive right now, but I think when we talk about long run, it is going to be, it'll pay off because people want to collaborate with you because you have green carbon in your product. So, for example, if I say about butanol, which is produced by petrochemical, which is sold maybe at 80 rupees or 90 rupees, but if we make it via ethanol, is going to be costly because ethanol itself is 60 rupees, and for butanol I need 2 more carbons added. So it is expensive as of now, but long run the innovations are happening where I can directly convert ethanol to butanol. Probably we will be able to bring down the cost.
So by when will that happen now?
I can say it within 2 to 5 years it has to happen because the technology has to move very fast, maybe earlier than that. Because if you talk about 2G, a few years back it was like nobody was coming in. Now today we have so many people who are coming in and the government is pushing the agenda. So what I think is can be added by the government is like the way we have created ethanol blending program and the hydrogen program which is coming up, we need to have something for biochemicals. So it can be mandated because whatever you say is unless the regulation is there, technology is there, an ecosystem is there, things do not move faster.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I come to Dr. Preeti. Ma'am, the question to you is technology versus economic impediments in the rollout of bio-based solutions. And you are doing a lot of projects in India with oil PSUs. So how do you look at these solutions and when do you see these being rolled out, not on a, what we can say, pilot projects, but on a large commercial basis?
Yeah. So before I answer your question, I think from various sessions which I can hear since morning is we all are talking about net zero target and decarbonization. And if we clearly look into various projections for the 2070 targets, it's clearly mentioned that these targets can only be met where 75% role will be new technologies, And what we see at a policy landscape, we just heard from, Dr. Sangeeta, and also at various, policy landscape, there is not sufficient policy support when it comes to advanced biofuel technology. We need to have more policy support or maybe a mandate for the market creation. When it comes to innovation, the policies also needs to bring in innovation and R&D. I heard in the previous sessions also from the speakers, BASF is doing something or Dow is doing something. But please understand the fundamental building block they have and the strength they have is their R&D, the technologies. So when it comes to new technologies, probably the role of policies, financial incentives, grants is very important so that these technologies can be deployed at scale. And advanced biofuels is also exactly need to follow the same story. Yes, we have policies like viability gap funding. There are some people in the room who are working with that kind of scheme. But for mandates, the market creation will be there and there will be investor confidence. That is something is needed in this space.
And what do you need from the policymakers?
If I speak clearly about the biofuels, and ethanol space, we all have been, I think 4 of us have mentioned about biochemicals. Sorry. Yes, ethanol today is being used for ground transport, but let's step back and think about what is the best use of that ethanol molecule. Where that ethanol molecule can fetch higher premium. Can it be biochemicals? Or can it be sustainable aviation fuel? India has a 27 CORSIA mandate guidelines approaching soon. And ethanol can also be converted into sustainable aviation fuel to help decarbonize. And if you ask me, within the sustainable aviation fuel, are there any technologies? I don't think in our lifetime we are going to see a plane running on electricity and taking us to another continent. So probably the sustainable aviation fuel, has a very important role to play. So from a policy level, I think it's about rationalizing the whole allocation of feedstock and where the decarbonization targets are more and where the market opportunities are high.
And will you talk about some of the projects that you are undertaking, because that will give an idea on what Langertech is doing?
Yes. So as I mentioned, we are a carbon capture and transformation company. We take waste carbon. In chemical sector, when I always talk about people about decarbonization, they always look at energy efficiency, power efficiency, or process efficiency. But it's also time to look into the feedstock. And for us, for our process, the feedstock is waste carbon, which is plastics, waste plastics, agri residue, municipal solid waste, or industrial emissions. We take that and with our biotech-based process, we convert that into sustainable fuel ethanol. You asked about commercial references. So we have 3 commercial plants running in China using steel mill and ferroalloy mill off gases into ethanol. And also to share with this, community in the room is, we are bringing that ethanol from China to India, working with converters here, and leading brands like Zara, Lululemon, Unilever, a number of them are making product. It's a proof of concept. I won't say there are multiple products. The other thing we are working in India is Indian Oil. We have a very trusted and, very, strong partner in India with Indian Oil, who have with whom we started our journey in India. They have built a plant at Panipat refinery based on our technology, which is under advanced stages of commissioning. It is 33,000 tons ethanol plant using off gases to make ethanol. In Europe, we are working with ArcelorMittal. The name doesn't need any introduction. They have built a plant based on our technology, converting waste gases into ethanol. And that plant is also in the advanced stages of commissioning. And in addition to that, a number of private and public sector companies in India, we are working on different projects to either use waste bagasse or agri residue and convert that into ethanol.
So Lanjatech is a new company or?
No, we are almost.
So because you are focusing on things which nobody is focusing on.
Yeah,
so that's the reason I'm asking.
Yes. So in the word, you are absolutely right. In the word, we are the only company who is commercializing gas fermentation technology today. We started 18 years back in New Zealand as a startup, doing the, testing this technology and pilot. And the success story can also be shared in one line that few months back, the Brookfield announced $500 million investment to support our projects in different continents. And we have, as I said, 3 commercial references, 2 in the advanced stages, 7 in different stages of engineering. For a small company of 300 people only, we have around 1,100 patents. That's something I think as an Indian company, and as an Indian, I feel we should bring that into the Indian chemical ecosystem. Just don't look at the policy, don't look just infrastructure should be good, plug and play should be good. They all are important. But R&D, innovation should be your backbone to stay ahead in the competition.
I don't think there are too many companies who can boast of 300 people with 1,100 patents, almost less than 4, but equivalent to 4, which is kudos to them. Give them a big hand. And I think this is very much required if we are looking at sustainability and to achieve net zero as laid down by our Prime Minister. The goals have been specified, but it would not be possible unless and until you develop these patents, then try to go for pilot and then for commercial deployment, which presently they are doing pilots and later on definitely they will look for commercial deployment. Prabhu, just adding to the policy part of it, any additional viewpoint?
Add upon few points on the initiatives which we have taken on.
Closer.
R&D and innovation. Yes. Of course, there are many technologies like pyrolysis, gasification, and liquefaction. Liquefaction. But in our organization, we have an in-house R&D, wherein we have developed engineering microorganism. To give you an example, it's called anaerobic fungi, which will be used in the compressed biogas plant for pre-treatment of the feedstock to improve the overall efficiency of the plant. So the microorganism will pre-treat the feedstock, which we generally do through chemical process or the technology. So here we are using microorganism. This will also reduce the energy consumption and also improve the overall cost economics. So this is currently, it was in R&D phase. Now we are implementing with a CGD company in North India. So this was one of the initiatives we have taken. Of course, we also have few patents in the CBG space. Coming to the policy support specifically, also to give you an example about the project, since you were mentioning about the projects we have done. So we have set up the Asia's largest MSW2 bio-CNG plant in India, that is at Indore. So currently the entire municipal solid waste of Indore, through Indore Municipal Corporation, comes to this plant, which was earlier a dumping ground. Now that 15-acre plot has been transformed into a compressed biogas plant, when right now we are transforming the entire MSW municipal solid waste, converting into bio-CNG. And we have a CNG dispensing unit in the plant through which the Indore Municipal Corporation CNG buses are running. And also the gas is being used in the industrial sector and commercial sector. There's a company called Avantika Gas, which is the CGD company in Indore. They are also buying the gas from this plant.
And supplying to home users?
Home users, right now, Avantika has that responsibility. But currently, we are only supplying till industrial consumers or Avantika gas and the buses.
So are you planning anything for Mr. Arvind Kejriwal? Because
So,
in Delhi we have
yeah.
heaps and heaps of
Correct. So
mountains
in addition
of garbage.
to, so Indore was one such example. Right now, we are setting up more than 10 mega scale plants of this CBG, wherein we are converting agri residue like paddy straw into CBG or bio-CNG and MSW. So for example, to give you example of Arvind Kejriwal ji, so we are doing in Okhla in Delhi. In UP we are.
And where are you setting up these CBG plants?
So one is in, this is in Okhla at the dumping, generally at the dumping place, because they want to, don't want to occupy the pricey real estate. So that is one. And we are working with Reliance Industries. We are working more than 8 projects of CBG from paddy straw. So it will produce 20 tons per day of bio-CNG, which will be sold through the GOBP retail outlet. So,
Even GPC Renewable is not a old company, it's a pretty new company. And the kind of work that you are doing is tremendous.
yeah, so we are now around 10 to 11 year old, highly agile, dynamic people, all are young, and with a mission to decarbonize through converting waste into energy. And I think Indore is one such live example, which is under operation from last more than 1 year by our own company. So we take the responsibility and the onus to provide the technology, to do the EPC and to the O&M. So we take end-to-end responsibility. So we want to transform this space.
Thank you, Prabhu. Now my next question is, what are the most promising bio-based technologies and feedstock for energy and chemical production, and how do they compare to traditional fossil fuels and petrochemical feedstock? And here I would request Dr. Sangeeta ma'am, Dr. Preeti ma'am, and Prabhu to give these words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, please.
Okay. So I think in India we have many bio-based feedstock available. It varies from north to south. But I think the challenges right now for all bio-based industry is how do we aggregate and we get the biomass at the right place. So I think what we need to learn from, because as I come from a biorefinery, it's a sugar-based industry. So sugarcane traditionally has been quite like systematized, right? So we know how to aggregate, how to work with farmers. So we work almost with 22,000 farmers to get our feedstock. So I think this is a learning which people can learn for like aggregating biomass into the right place, because this is very important that we get the biomass. We can build the refineries, we can do everything, but if I don't have the feedstock, it will not run. So it is important as a feedstock. I think we have soya, we have paddy, we have many feedstocks available around the country. And if we actually utilize, we can reduce our reliance on the import of feedstocks. So ethanol can be one molecule which can help us produce SAF, ethylene, polyethylene, MEG, and many other aspects. So I think we do have examples of collaboration, co-creation, and it is a time that we all kind of learn from each other, co-create and collaborate and repurpose ourselves to move forward in this.
Dr. Preeti ma'am.
So can you please repeat your question?
My question was, what are the bio-based technologies and feedstocks for energy and chemical production, and how do they compare to traditional fossil fuels and petrochemical feedstock?
So again, I would not want to answer your question directly, but in an indirect way. I think all of you in this room will agree with me. If you play in your strengths, you always win, right? It's a simple thumb rule. If we play on our strength, we always win. The same is the case for the technologies. Any technology in this space is a function also of feedstock. We all have been sharing that time and again. So you need to look again what kind of abundant, available, low-cost feedstocks are available around you. MSW, agri-residue, MSW, municipal waste we mentioned, agri-residue we mentioned, in addition to that plastic waste which is a problem, and we all are aiming for circular economy. Industry sector is looking for decarbonization, and industrial sector like chemicals or refineries or steel and ferroalloy mills are, they are also looking for decarbonization. So these are ample resources around us. So our technology choices also need to be, complementary to that. That's why how without, saying that this company or that company. And in this whole economics or, ecosystem, I would say, technology neutrality is very important. We are at a juncture where all technologies need to be given a chance to use these feedstocks. And the other point I would like to add here is, in this technology play, we often heard about hydrogen, right? Many of us mentioned about hydrogen. So we have to, it's also time for chemical industry to look into what is the best use of hydrogen, whether to use it as a fuel or whether to use the hydrogen as a decarbonization. So it's, I think, high time we deliberate into those answers.
So while we're talking about the technologies, I think people around here, us like we have technical team, I think when we're developing the technology, it's very important that we actually look at the capex, because right now whatever technologies we talk about, they are very highly capex intensive. So it's like maybe IOCL, BPCL, they can spend money, but as industrialist, I don't think we'll put in money for those technologies as of now. So it is very important for the people who are developing technology or looking at scale up. How do I scale up? It's very important to look at what is available in India. Can we use those assets and make it happen?
That's a great point, and I think I also missed about the fossil fuel point you mentioned. I think when we look into these technologies and we want to grow these new technologies in energy industry, please understand the energy industry has been there for last, 100 years. They have achieved hundreds years of energy efficiency, price efficiency, supply chain efficiency. Their ecosystem is very efficient already. And as a new technologies and new industries, yes, they are capital intensive. That's why I think we need to look at them at a very fresh perspective, that how we can provide enablers so that this ecosystem can really fly.
Prabhu, if you can add something on that.
Yeah. So just to give you a perspective on the fossil fuel versus the waste like agri residue or this. So we are aware we are importing around 70 to 80% of crude oil to meet our fuel needs. Plus there's a deficiency of around 47% on the gas side, which we are importing, right? So to fill that gap, I believe if you convert this paddy straw or possibly MSW or spent wash or press mud cake into CBG, you can easily fill that gap, and the dependency on the imports can reduce. So just to give you a perspective on the feedstocks, the paddy straw has a potential of generating around 13% of biogas. For example, if I have 100 tons per day of paddy straw, I can easily generate 13 tons per day of bio-CNG. If I take a press mud cake, which comes from a sugar industry, or I can take municipal solid waste, or possibly Napier grass, we can easily achieve 3 to 4% of biogas, considering 100 TPD of this one. In fact, we as a company are also growing super Napier grass for our customers in Nagpur, Jamnagar, as a separate initiative. So there are many feedstocks in India, but primarily we are focusing upon this because this has a high biogas yield. So this can easily fill the gap of reduction in the fossil fuel imports.
One last question, ma'am, to all of you, and to Prabhu and also Prashad. Will this help in, if we are looking at, say, bio-based chemicals and from 10% now to 20%, Nitin Gadkari is also talking about 100% as such, with the fine-tuning of the engine. So, so do you see farmer income getting increased when all these things comes into picture? Because being an agriculture nation that we do have, and lot of dependency on farmers. So how do you see, because if this happens, I think it will revolutionize India and also revolutionize that lot of, and everybody is talking, I need bio-based cream, I need bio-based soap. So that definitely will create a lot of market for us.
So can I take this up? Yeah. So to give you an example, considering farmer as an example, so we have rich rice belt in India, right? In North Haryana, and to put this into numbers, 150 tons per day of paddy straw will generate 20 tons per day of gas.
Okay.
That means daily, if I put one plant in one tehsil of Haryana, for example, and I get 150 tons per day of paddy straw from a farmer, or possibly from an aggregator, or a farmer association, which earlier they were burning. We have this Panali burning issue in the north, right, which creates air pollution in Delhi. We always hear this in news. So this paddy straw, if they don't burn and they sell it to the companies like us or our project developers, we are easily able to give them a good income. And this will spread in all the rice belt. So to talk about farmers' income, 100% farmers, of course, more about income, they are becoming opportunistic now, because they have realized that many corporates are coming into their area and putting up CBG plant, and they are increasing the value of paddy straw, which earlier had no value.
So are you looking at, say, FPOs
Yes.
and are you working with them to set up these
Yes.
plants so that they in turn can benefit in the long
Correct. So we are having an agreement with them to source the feedstock at a fixed price, so that they don't become opportunistic and don't escalate the price in future. So we are doing that.
run? Okay. Dr. Preeti.
Yeah, I think all of us always hear that narrative of Annadata to Urjadata, right? How that narrative can go to exponential level, because your question of bio soap or something, so that doesn't need incremental growth, that need exponential. That can only happen with the innovation can bring that change. But again, to put it in the numbers, we did a internal assessment. If agri residue which is available in India, not agri residue, waste agri residue, if that can be channelized, you can build 100 KL PD unit, ethanol unit based on advanced biofuel technologies. But again, aggregation, building that robust supply chain so that farmers are truly benefited, needs to be brought in much more effectively and efficiently. It is there, but not to the optimal level. That is one part.
See, any new thing, first of all, one has to see whether it comes into a process.
Yes.
And when everybody benefits, they all come together.
Yes. And the other thing is, our current ethanol production in the country is around 10 billion liters, right? If you can pool all the waste resources, not just agri residue, MSW and all those things, that ethanol production can be doubled. 2 days back, I was in a FMC, which is First Mover Coalition by World Economic Forum, and I heard this number, that if 50% of this ethanol can be converted into sustainable aviation fuel, the farmer income impact is going to be by 15% increase. So a lot of things can be happen, but we need to take all those measures to make that happen.
Prasad, your views?
So I'm 100% sure that farmers' income is now it's now become double. Sangeeta ma'am and we are into I think we are in the same industries like ethanol, and what we have seen from last years, the prices of the molasses and the grains is now increased. If you see the graph, the molasses prices are, last year I was like, I'm just going in a thoroughly way. So last year the prices of the molasses, the sugarcane based molasses, that is roughly around 7,000 per metric ton to 8,000 per metric ton. That is for the C heavy molasses. And if you procure the B heavy molasses, that was the prices around 10,000 to 9,000 to 10,000 per metric ton. If you see the gap, that is roughly around 1,500, 2,000 rupees, 2,000 and 1,500 per metric ton. See, the prices of the molasses decides the ethanol and the spirits and other chemical prices. But if you seize the income of the farmers, if you just take the region of western region of Maharashtra, maybe southwestern region of Maharashtra, I I don't think so. The farmers' income is now increased because of those prices, because mostly the sugar factory owners are manipulating the cane prices. That is most important thing that we have to understand. We are not the sugarcane manufacturer, sugarcane producer or manufacturer. We are just the procuring the molasses and the grains from the sugar factories, and that is the major challenges that we have faced from last couple of years. That's why we are diverting our feedstock to the grain, that is the broken rice and maize, to maintain the prices and to maintain the sustainability. So I think mostly the grain farmers now will get the double income, because most of the grain-based distilleries are coming up, the chemical plant are coming on, that is the feedstock is based on the grains. So yeah.
Okay, so I will just pick up from what Dr. Preeti said is Annadata. So the farmers were Annadata, now they are becoming Urja Data. So that's what is like Annadata to Urja Data. And just to correct you, sugar prices are derived by FRP, so they're fixed price. The sugar factory owners do not decide the price. And as we divert ethanol, because we were producing sugar from sugarcane, now we have started diverting to ethanol, the yields are calculated and the sugarcane price is fixed on that number. So there is a formula. So this is definitely the ethanol program has come for the farmers' benefit. So it's a very clear mandate by government that whatever ethanol is the sugar is getting diverted for ethanol production, the benefits should go to the farmer. So which is happening. That's why the program is taking fast. So grain is another issue, but for our country and the farmers' benefit, it is a great program because it is helping in rural development. It is helping in India's economic development because our import of fuel is reducing, as well as rural kind of employment is increasing. So it is a win-win situation, ethanol blending program, which can be taken as a model for developing other programs like hydrogen is coming up, and also the biochemicals. It can go in the same way.
So we are through with the panel discussion. If there are any, I know you would be dead tired by now. Last 2 days have been engrossing, listening to all the speakers, getting the views, talking to them, getting clarifications. So it has been definitely a good 2 day, but if you still have questions, our panelists are free to here to answer them. Please have the mic. You can ask any, it can be apart from bio-based also. So feel free. Any last comments to be made? The mics are here. Don't hesitate. Everybody is tired, so yeah, there is one. No, we need a lot of prompting to be done, and I know this is a challenge that I have been facing right when I have been doing this moderation.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My question is regarding with biofuels or any other chemicals, which are the factors or which are the sectors what MSME can target? A company, of course, some of the industries, some of the products which are heavily invested and can be done by large scale companies only. But since this new opportunity which is coming up in India, a company like us who is a MSME, so what kind of business or opportunity should we target, or some kind of products, if you can just give us some light on that?
Yeah. I think what you should look at is bio-based is just like whatever you were doing for fossil fuels. Suppose you were making some esters where you were using some acid or other things. So they source like butanol or butyl acetate or something like that, you can just use bio-based products. So it's like nothing that differently has to be looked at. So the list of chemicals, if you are doing it, you can just use the feedstock which is coming from bio-based.
The other thing I can, yeah, please.
No, you please.
The other thing, since you asked from a MSME point of view is I think it's not just one company need to come together. If they couple of, consortia kind of MSME, they want to come together and they realize they have access to the feedstock and they would like to use new technology, get, make, new business line, start with one project. And there are also government fundings available, like viability gap funding is one. For biofuels, interest subvention is also there. There is also custom duty concessions. There is a GST benefit. So probably I think you need to it can't be just one answer. You need to seed this ecosystem in totality, that what exactly can help you to make a successful business case also.
Yeah, I was in Brazil from 2006 to 2010, and we had 85% ethanol blending in the fuel there. I was always wondering, and I'm still wondering, is why this has not happened in India. Is it because of the government political non-will? Because technology exists, or is it because of the ethanol not being there? Is it the farmer lobby? I mean, I don't know. What's the reason basically why it's not happened in India as yet?
Sir, let me give you a short answer to it. It's possible, and in Brazil what they do is they have a flex fuel engine. So depending upon E10, E20 till E100, you can use those vehicles and run your automobile or car or vehicle. In India, if I'm correct, in India you can also do that, but the engine needs to be fine-tuned accordingly. Presently, till E20, it's okay. Even E20, there is some problem, I believe, from E15 to E20. But there is no problem as such. Even if it is a problem, since the technology is already tested in Brazil, those technologies can come, and depending upon which, because what is happening is that automobile companies are looking at EV on the one hand, they are looking at hydrogen on the other hand, they are looking at ethanol on the other hand, and they are looking at fossil fuel. So there are 4 things which are running in parallel. Now, everybody can't focus on all these R&Ds, whether you are a big Toyota or a Maruti or a Suzuki. So what is happening is that the race is still there. So who will win the race? It will depend upon who wins the race, and then rest of them will follow accordingly. I hope.
I can just add one thing is, I think Indian government and Brazil government, they're working very closely to develop these technologies. So wherever the gaps are, it's going to be worked out. So this is very close association which is being worked out. And Brazil also a standard, like I think average is 27% only. So some of the vehicles are 80% or 100%, but average is 27% only. And we'll be there very soon. Yeah, so it's like evolving. You have to just see what happened in last 10 years. You can always give example, US is a developed country and we are developing. So we have to accept the fact which we have it with us.
Just one point to add there, I think you also have to look into the availability of ethanol numbers also. In Brazil, because of their resource advantage, land advantage, so ethanol availability was not a challenge. But what we see, the increase in ethanol production has happened on the last 6-7 years more, so that we have been able to reach, target of 10% blending. So availability also has to play a very important role.
I think
And
sugarcane
Mr. Sharman, just adding to that, see, if all sugarcane is converted into ethanol, then the sugar prices will be on a higher side. And I think it will take care of our diabetes, but all the sweet shops which are in the country will get closed.
Yeah, that's what I want to understand. So,
So-
basically, of waste management again,
So-
converting into ethanol.
So the
how much
government is
required?
looking at balancing the two. Like they are not looking at exporting sugar, importing sugar, which will help to forex. So what they are planning to do right now is, so that's the reason initially they started with sugarcane and syrup and molasses, and then they moved to grains, so that there is a balance, and plus the season part of it is also being taken care. I hope that's the answer.
And we're waiting for the new technologies like 2G and what Lonza-Tech is working on. So once we have these technologies coming in, then we probably will not use sugar for converting into ethanol.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question in the earlier
Sir,
days,
closer.
Yeah. So you had this product called butadienes and also ethylene oxide. They were already being manufactured in India. But do you see, I think they have stopped now, ethylene oxide as well as the butadienes. I think it was Kilachand Group which used to make butadienes in north. And there was a plant in Maharashtra where they used to make ethylene oxide. Do you see this kind of chemicals being made in future?
I think it's very much possible, and it's going to come back. So what we were doing 50 or 60 years back, now it is talked about green. So as a company, we are almost 80-year-old company, but we have not given up. We have been still doing on ethanol-based chemistry, but definitely butadiene and ethylene oxide, which were already made in India earlier, they will come back. That's what I think.
I want to add for the ethylene oxide, it requires because why it not come back to India? Because it requires the lot of investment. So I believe LanzaTech and Fentron Scientech is working very closely for reducing the investment capex. Like capex is the most important thing for putting up the project. And there is a project in Maharashtra, I think so, in Kurkum MIDC. It's a Reliance project, and it's shut down because of the the availability of ethanol. And that time there was no availability of ethanol. But now as we are discussing about the ethanol, there is, I think so, more than there is an ample availability of ethanol, but we have to just think beyond of the ethanol. So I believe LanzaTech and the other technologies will definitely focus on the reducing the capex.
Yeah, this plant belonged to Shetty's.
Yeah,
It was
right,
taken over
right.
by Reliance, and then I think because of the availability problems of the feedstock, they closed down, I believe. Yes. I hope there is something more coming to it now. I want to see more number of ethylene oxide plant, more number of butadienes, the next stage of chemicals, yes.
So one point to clarify, as on today, we commercially offer ethanol and then ethanol to build that value-added chemical. So currently we are not into ethylene oxide, just to clarify that point.
Here they are going to be there, right?
Yeah, if the market opportunities are good, it's always good to explore those opportunities.
And especially in north, where there is no, ethylene oxide is only manufactured by Reliance at the moment. But if you look at north, and normally if you can give it at the point where you manufacture or where it's needed, you'll see more number of plants coming in based on ethylene oxide as well.
So I hope full marks to us, or are there any more questions? So, I would say very knowledgeable audience out here staying till the end. A clap for them. And also a clap for all our panelists because last session is always not an easy session because people are not there first. The enthusiasm has gone down. But not the enthusiasm on this side, and other on that side also. So I hope this 2 day was engrossing for all of you. We had very good speakers, 14 sessions that we had, around 80 odd speakers. And before the vote of thanks is given by Yogesh Joshi, I don't want to steal that thunder from him. I would request Mr. Sharman, Alok Sharman ji, if you can give the mementos to our panelists. Dr. Sangeeta Srivastava, Executive Director, Godavari Biorefineries. अब तो लास्ट है, अब तो ताली बजाते रहिए आप लोग अभी भी कंजूसी कर रहे हैं you will have tea, don't worry. Tea and snacks are there. Dr. Preeti Jain, Global Director, Policy, Chemicals and Carbon Solutions, LanzaTech. Mr. Prabhunath Gupta, Executive Vice President, Business Development, GPS Renewables.
Yes, let's connect on that somewhere.
Mr. Prasad Gawate, founder, CEO and director, Rajganga Biorefineries. I just wrote to Prasad and within 30 seconds, he replied and said he will participate in our panel discussion. Thank you, Prasad, for at least imposing faith on us that we will do a good job. So thank you, everybody, all panelists and Mr. Alok Sharmanji. Thank you. So before you go, I would request wait for 5 minutes and also listen to Mr. Yogesh Joshi, Director, Indian Chemical News, who will give vote of thanks. And then we will have a tea coffee break. I hope I hope you will attend the session next year once again. Please say yes or no so that we get the feedback. Yes. Okay, Yogesh.
Thank you, Praveen. Well, it has been a long day for all of us, so I'll try to keep my talk as short as possible. So good evening, everyone. Respected dignitaries, distinguished speakers, delegates, invitees, and guests, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Indian Chemical News, I would like